Hi, everybody. We promise we're going to give a presentation, but first, before we do so, we wanted to take a selfie.
All right. Good morning. Welcome to Formula 2015. Hello. Can you hear me back there? All good? Excellent. My name is Arias. I'm the vice president of product and operations for AdsMovil. I'm filling out for Alberto Pardo, who couldn't be here today. He had personal matters to attend this morning. But for you that doesn't know who AdsMovil is, we are the first mobile ad network in Latin America, and we've been around since 2010. Last year, we ran about 2,500 campaigns for many of you here in the audience. And this year, we are at the right pace to probably double that number. Today, we're very happy to be here and basically sharing the presentation with Seho. Seho, stop using your phone and please introduce yourself to the audience.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Seho, Programmatic Director of Sizmek. This is my first time here at the Festival of Media. So excited to be here with everybody. And this is really the first time I've been able to be immersed in the Latin American culture. I arrived last night and I wanted to share a few observations that I had through my experience last night. First, I've never been kissed so many times in my entire life. Every time I said, hi, I'm Seho. Second, there's over 20 countries represented here today, this week, and it seems like every single person is another person's best friend, or like family. And that's very fascinating because I come from New York, and we're at media events, we're with our own team and a few clients and hanging out in our cliques. Last night, during the cocktail hour, everybody was hugging, kissing, saying, oh, hey, I'm from Brazil, I'm from Chile, I'm from Argentina. And you guys are all in different countries, but still best friends. And I think that's amazing. I commend the media community for the Latin America. Lastly, the Latin American market is hungry. Not just hungry for arepas and carnitas, but to learn, to really share their knowledge from certain markets to others, and also really get the best solutions, innovate on behalf of their clients. And I'm just excited I'm happy and thankful that I could be here to witness all of this with you guys.
Okay.
So Sizmek is a company that's evolved quite a lot over the past few years with a few name changes. And today, our identity is to be an open ad management platform, providing end-to-end solutions throughout each of the campaign process. And we'll discuss a little bit about how we do so throughout the presentation today. But for our presentation purposes, Andres and I will be focusing on mobile in Latin America, the growth of mobile advertising, and how programmatic can help fuel that growth.
But yeah, I mean, what is it that we can do in any case? I mean, the phones are with us all the time. I can see that many of you are texting right now. I can see one there, one there. But the phones became our most personal device in history. That's the one that we go everywhere with. And according to some studies, we spend basically 39 days a year stick to our little screens. If that pace continues, we're going to spend 11% of our lives basically interacting with a mobile device. And that's numbers, it's basically 3 hours a day with your phone in there, in front of your face. And if I give it to my kids, basically they probably double that very easily. They love it, and they find it very, very engaging. And I think that that's just as a matter of fact. And it's not every single phone. And if you remember feature phones in the past, I mean, they were good for texting and calling, but people don't really spend that much. It's really smartphones that's making the better engagement rates for everybody. You can do much more with them that you used to do with feature phones. And Latin America is at right at pace to reach, already now, some markets are at over 40% smartphone penetration, markets like Mexico, Colombia, big markets. But overall in Latin America, we have 25% smartphone penetration. And by 2019, we will be reaching over 40-50% smartphone penetration. And that, we all complain about wireless carriers and 4G, 3G, and 2G and everything, but we all know what we all do when we get to a restaurant in Latin America. The first thing you ask the waiter is, give me the Wi-Fi password. So connectivity is everywhere. Even Wi-Fi connectivity is all across the world. But let's talk about a little bit about the mobile user journey. Let's think about what happened last year in Brazil during the World Cup, but not only in Brazil, but across Latin America. You woke up probably using your cell phone as an alarm clock. The first thing that you did was probably to look at the news, the lineup for the team, your team that was playing that day, probably looking at the best place to watch a game, whether you were going to the stadium perhaps in Brazil, you were choosing maybe the best route, the times for the bus stops. You were getting all that information from your handset. You were not getting it from your desktop, for instance. And during the match, you probably called your friends, you get together with them, you share stories, you share sorrows, you take a picture, you take the selfie. We all know how many things we do throughout the day, and especially during social events such as the World Cup. And after the event, still, obviously the phone goes with us, and whether your team won or lost, you still had to choose where to go later on. You went to celebrate, or you went to drown your sorrows. In any case, the phone stayed with you all the time. And that's something incredible throughout LATAM.
So,
as well.
Parlaying on to what Andres is speaking about, if you think back to all the special moments of your life, cultural phenomenons, you always had your personal device with you to help capture those moments, store them, share them, communicate them with your friends and family. And the whole point of this is to really portray how important and personal these devices are to each of you.
And throughout Latin America as well. But if we all agree that devices are so important, because please tell me raise your hand if you think that the smartphone is not like the most important personal device in history. Well, maybe not in history, but most likely, right? We all agree with that. So then why is it that mobile just accounts for 8% of the overall digital ad spend? And we're not talking about 8% of the whole thing. It's 8% of the digital ad spend, which in some markets might be 20% tops. It just doesn't make sense. We're spending money on media that is not the one that is closer to the end user and the one where the end user engages the most and the one that appreciates the most. Obviously, there's something that is wrong there, and that's what we want to talk about now.
So let's highlight the challenges to mobile growth. Still, mobile is, as prevalent mobile is in terms of consumption and usage, it's still a very new medium for us as advertisers today, and I'd say the largest challenge is mobile education. Andres, why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about some of the challenges you have with educating advertisers and the overall ecosystem with understanding how mobile advertising works?
Yeah, well, I mean, in AdsMovil, we work across the region, from US down to Patagonia, basically. So we get to interact with all the agencies and brands, and always the discussion kind of lingers into, what are the nuances really about mobile and desktop, for instance. Digital is something that overall, more or less, kind of all understand, but mobile is incredibly different. You have to take into account the devices, the brands, the connectivity. You have to talk about, there's no cookie in some cases. You have to talk about mobile devices, applications, and a multitude of myriad of things that you have to take into account. And a lot of the people really don't understand that yet. And even further, when you try to run a campaign, you have to think about the context of use, which is completely opposite from the desktop experience. Desktop experience is one where you're at home or at work, but the mobile phone is one that you're on the go and you're basically everywhere where you go. So that's one of the things that we work continuously with the MMA, for instance, with agencies, training also designers to try to take advantage of all the different capabilities from mobile.
And then when it comes to creative ad formats, one of the challenges that advertisers see today is the nature of a mobile screen size. You're going from a large desktop screen to a small device. And brands are having a difficult time understanding how they can shrink a creative and still portray a brand message to the consumer. Second is creating the actual formats. Most creative agencies are accustomed to using Flash. Right now, there's a huge initiative to move people over from Flash to HTML5, and Sizmek and AdsMovil are making strong efforts to help advertisers do that. Lastly is measuring ROI. In a world, the desktop world, we're used to impression clicks, conversions, video completions. Mobile advertising, due to the nature of the cookie and pixel tracking technologies, not completely persisting within an in-app environment. There's alternative solutions that we're coming to market with to help you guys make sure that your advertisers are making sure that they get the ROI that they invest into their advertising campaigns.
And in recognition of all these challenges, today we're presenting an alliance between Sizmek and AdsMovil, where we bring Sizmek intelligence, technology, expertise in the digital realm, with AdsMovil support and knowledge of the local markets throughout Latin America to present an end-to-end, a truly end-to-end programmatic mobile solution to the market.
When you guys think about, from the advertiser side, what types of vendors, partners, whether it's data, ad tech, you guys think about mainly two things: technology, customer service, local expertise. With AdsMovil, having a strong market presence in Latin America really understands the real true needs of advertisers per each market as they're different across all of Latin America. Sizmek, being a massive company globally present in every market, but not so much penetrated in Latin America, brings our technology and subject matter expertise to combine that with AdsMovil to make sure that we're giving Latin America the best solutions available across the world. Many of you often say and hear quite a lot, the key to a successful advertiser campaign is to reach the right consumer at the right time with the right message. And once you do that, you want to be able to analyze your campaign, optimize in real time, measure, gather learnings, audience insights, rinse, wash, repeat. Sizmek and AdsMovil really broke out into these 6 different silos and specialize on how we can take advantage of all the technology solutions, whether it be in-house or in the overall marketplace, to make sure that you guys have all the advanced technologies to provide for your clients today. And through programmatic channels, these are the main benefits that you guys will gather from working through programmatic. This really gets broken down into 2 divisions. One is operational efficiency, making sure that your team is executing campaigns with speed, low costs, making sure that you guys are not wasting spend. Second is making sure that your campaigns are performing the best to generate the overall ROI.
And I think that the analogy that I like to use a lot in explaining programmatic is basically comparing it to baking a cake. The cake is one of the most simple, or the one that kind of handles the less ingredients in pastry, basically. You have eggs, you have flour, sugar, and butter. But not all cakes work for everybody. We all love different types of cakes, right? So I think that it doesn't have to be that complicated, but even a cake, it can be very complicated depending on the type of ingredients that you bring to the board. And that's where our proposition works out that way. We present a programmatic cake of sorts. One where we have the farinha, no? The harina, the inventory. We use the data as huevos. We use the creative as azúcar, and the measurement as manteiga. And we choose and pick and choose among the many, 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 many different solutions available to present to you so that you can make the best cake, not for your overall audience, but the right audience that you want to target. And that's our programmatic cake.
So I personally like ice cream chocolate cake. Andres likes vanilla cake. So we need different ingredients, just as your advertisers need different partners, different integrations for each of their campaigns based on their objectives. What we've done here is we curated all the best ingredients from data, inventory, supply. Apologize if you are out there and you are not on this slide. Let's talk after the presentation. And what we do is we really bring that to the table, so when you're baking a cake, you can pick and choose the ingredients with the right amount and ultimately serve the best tasting cake.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about farinha, the harina, the flour. With AdsMovil, we established since many years ago several hundreds of relationships with different publishers across the region, and we bring that premium publisher access to the region. And again, a Brazilian publisher might not work obviously in Colombia, or a Colombian publisher might not work in Mexico, but maybe all of them work in the US. You have to pick and choose the right farinha, the right supply for each one of the different targets that you're trying to achieve. And that's what we also bring along with the programmatic offering.
Then after you layer the farinha, you need the huevos, the data. So mobile audience buying's a bit different from desktop. In mobile, you see about 25 to 40 data points at every impression about the user. One key data point that I really want to focus that is truly unique to mobile is location. So you can use location in many different ways. One is you could reach people who are Estadio Azteca watching a soccer game. Perhaps a sports apparel would want to geofence around Estadio Azteca during the game. The other way is you could build audiences based on where consumers have visited with a recency and frequency that's customized to your advertiser needs. So after a consumer goes from Estadio Azteca to the AdsMovil office here in Miami, let's say Estadio Azteca has about attendance of 112,000 people per game, 12 games a month. Let's say only 300,000 of them are unique. AdsMovil has about 80 people in the Miami office. So let's say about 10 of those people in the AdsMovil office in Miami have been to a game at Estadio Azteca in the past month. So you have an audience size of 10. Then you go to the Ritz-Carlton here this week, and then you have an audience of the Andres Arias audience. So what you see here on the left side are the different lat-long coordinates. As I said, we see about 25 to 40 different data points, location lat-long being one of them, and seeing over 1 billion impressions on a daily basis gives you a lot of location data to track. So what we do with some of our location partners is take the lat-long data and conceptualize it to where this person's been. So this here, right on the Miami section, would be the AdsMovil office. Mexico City would be Estadio Azteca, and Coral Gables would be his home. That's why he's a Miami resident, AdsMovil employee, and Club America fan.
So we have the farinha. We talk about the farinha. We talk about the eggs, the huevos, the ovo, right? The next one is the sweet stuff, the sugar. Sugar is so important, and the sugar we like to match it against the creative. You need to have the right type of sugar for the right person too. Campaigns that are your location require some types. Your brand and the matching with the targeting requires some other types. We can allow dynamic location campaigns where you can have a creative that changes according to the location of your customer, showing them perhaps their closest point of sale, maybe the closest bars that they can visit, the closest places where the product might be sold. All of that changes automatically depending of the location. Interactivity, of course, HTML5, there you go, HTML5 creatives where you can interact with the device and you can scratch it, shake it, move it, whatever, and the creative changes. And that's another level of interactivity. Obviously, mobile video, and there's a lot of talk about video. Video is one of the most engaging ad units out there. But it also has to be shown at the right moment, the right time. You don't want to show a creative and with video when people are connected to 2G networks in Mexico City, for instance. You want to show it when they're connected to the Wi-Fi, when they get to the restaurant. But that also changes according to all those conditions. And obviously native. I mean, native is a big thing, right? We can have programmatic access to native creatives, native inventory, and we allowed the whole thing based on HTML5 support. So that's the sugar.
Sure. Speaking about creative, this is going back to some of the mobile challenges that I mentioned earlier. Mobile is a personal device in front of you, so when it comes to saying that it's too small or the distance, when you think about it, you're taking up either all of the real estate or 10% of it close to you up in person. Second, these examples are giving you opportunities to build creative in a way that you've never been able to before. Swipe a screen, pull up location based on where you are. You can shake the phone, play a game, watch a video. As consumption continuously shifts from TV to video, you're going to need to be able to replicate your TV to 30-second spots on mobile devices. And then ultimately, native, blending in ads with the content so it's a better user experience. And as more publishers and developers adopt the native ad formats, we'll be able to provide that for you guys at scale. And then lastly, the Mentega, measurement and ROI. After I put together these great data plans, targeting opportunities, layered with great creative, how do I know that this actually worked? Did my campaign work? Show me the money. Typically, we're used to the impressions, clicks, and conversions. But now, in mobile, since we have unique data points, we're able to now know if we showed a consumer if they saw the ad and actually visited the store that you guys are looking to drive them to. Not if they only visited, but also, did they make a purchase? Are they viewing my ads? What percentage of my ads are being viewed? Also, with the proliferation of cross-device technologies, there's quite a lot of cross-device companies out here in the world, both using a deterministic and probabilistic methodology. We'll be able to bring your traditional desktop tracking mechanisms into a mobile world as well. And that's something Sizmek and AdsMovil are very excited about.
Excellent. So next, we'd like to show you a couple of case studies where you can appreciate a little bit of the story that we're trying to build overall throughout Latin America. The first one is one that we run in Brazil, and our country manager from Brazil is somewhere, Andrea. I lost her. Well, she was just around the corner, but let me show it here.
Bom, o objetivo da campanha que a gente desenvolveu com AdsMovil foi realmente lançar a Mopé. A gente sabe que tem total fit a gente fazer uma campanha de lançamento dentro de digital para o nosso público, que é super premium, né? Mídia digital faz todo sentido quando você tem um target, no nosso caso, uma marca como a Mopé, de menos de 11 milhões de mulheres, né? Eu estou falando de 11 milhões de mulheres da classe AB no Brasil, então é um target super pequeno e tem todo sentido atingir essas mulheres no mundo digital e ainda mais quando eu estou falando de mobile. Os resultados que a gente teve com a campanha foram assim muito bacanas, né? Primeiro porque a gente teve aí uma taxa de cliques 4 vezes maior do que a média do digital, então isso já é um super resultado, ainda mais para uma marca nova que as pessoas ainda não conheciam muito bem, então isso é um super indicativo para a gente. A AdsMovil nos ajudou na campanha como um todo, a gente ficou super satisfeito realmente.
Mobile advertising solutions across the Americas.
All right, thank you.
And real quickly, giving another case study about how we leverage location in several ways. One is geofencing, 5 to 15 mile radiuses around suburban areas, Starbucks. And then also 0.5 to 1 mile radius around Starbucks in metro locations. Not only did we geofence around Starbucks, but we also geoconquested around Dunkin' Donuts, making sure that we're getting market share in places where our customers are at our competitors' stores. And then the results were we were able to drive effectively a cost per visit rate of 25 cents. Now, if you guys ask yourself, if I am a retail store or QSR, would I pay 25 cents to have a new customer come visit my store or location? I'd bet most of you would say yes.
All right, so moving forward, as you've seen in this presentation, we have the tools, the support, the inventory, the whole ingredient set for preparing the best programmatic cake out there. And I want you to leave this conference or this talk overall, this couple of days in beautiful South Florida, with making a pledge to change that 8% investment in mobile. I mean, that's something that we have to go out there and bring the right solutions to our customers. And the right solution is mobile. There's no argument about it. 8% just doesn't represent, a successful reach out to our customers. And to expedite that, we are offering to have a campaign of $5,000 for anyone who comes out with leaves their card there in the yard in the back, and we'll make a draw later on and announce it so you get it started. But please go back to your work, go back to Latin America, to Miami, to Europe, to US, and think through about this. 8% just doesn't represent an intelligent community of advertisement. We need to make sure that we reach out the right audience, and in Latin America, even more so. A place where we have more phones than laptops overall. I mean, it has to be like that, right? Well, thank you.
Thank you.